Hi, my name is Dano and welcome to Raised Bed Construction Part 2. Today we're actually going to throw together a raised bed out in my backyard, and before we do that I'd like to review real quickly the tools that we're going to use to accomplish that job. Those tools include some 2x6 lumber to make our containment vessel, a blend of compost, peat moss, and vermiculite for the soil blend, and some tools including a saw, a stapler, measuring tape, hammer, my ugly tool for digging up soil with, and last but not least a roll of weed block material. Also, you're going to need some galvanized nails and a couple of metal stakes, and I'll show you how those work later on. The very first consideration is exactly where we want our raised bed to be located. So I sat down in the backyard and looked around for some likely spots. Finally, I noticed an area next to a retaining wall that looked pretty promising. I went over and placed some used lumber that I had located next to the wall and discovered I had just enough wood to make a 31-inch by 90-inch bed. So I measured the end pieces and cut two 34-inch sections and then assembled the containment box as I'm showing here. So the next thing, after I get my wood all squared up and ready to be installed, I'll know exactly where my raised bed area, my growing area, is going to be. I'm going to take my ugly tool and strip off about 2 inches, all the sod, all the weeds, down to bare earth. So I'll be about 2 inches below the 6-inch barrier. And over that will go a weed block to keep any weeds from creeping into the custom soil blend that I'm going to install on top of that. So that's how that's going to work, and we're going to get started right now with stripping off this top covering. Well, this is the hard part of this job. I like to listen to a little bit of music while I'm doing this, and if you have kids, if you're fortunate to have kids that like to get dirty, this is a great job to give to them, to dig up the soil, to get all the weeds out of here, to get this top couple inches off. And as you can see, it goes pretty quick, but it's a bit of an effort.
Working in a coal mine, going down, down, down. Working in a coal mine, about to slip down. Working in a coal mine, going down, down, down. Working in a coal mine, about to slip down. 5 o'clock in the morning.
So about an hour and 15 minutes later, I've got my sides in place, nailed in. I've got some old tent stakes holding these this board nice and secure. And I'm now ready to go ahead and apply my weed block, which comes in rolls. And what we're going to basically do is roll this out. I'm going to be stapling the wooden edges with the material, and then the far end is going to just get some blocks or rocks, whatever, to weigh that down. I'll have a nice solid weed barrier on the bottom of this raised bed. Well, as you can see, I got the weed block in. I didn't use a lot of care to get it in there. I just wanted to cover the sides and be stapled enough that it'll hold together until I get the soil in there, which will press it evenly against the sides. Remembering that this is just really to keep bottom weeds from coming up. I'll get enough weeds coming in during the course of the year to make this not an effective barrier. So once a year you really need to tear everything out, turn over your soil, and put in a new barrier. So that's that. Now we're ready for my fun part, which is putting in the custom mix. I'm going to be using peat moss, composted cow manure in equal proportions, about 4 cubic feet of each, and then about 1 cubic foot of vermiculite. That's all I could get. Preferably you would have an equal amount, or about 4 cubic feet of vermiculite. So I'm just going to start with those ratios and see how I end up. I'm going to mix this combination in the wheelbarrow and then throw it on in the bed. Just remember that when you're mixing your soil, if you're doing it kind of from scratch the way I'm doing it, is you want to accomplish basically 3 things, or have 3 mixes into your soil. You want a good base that is porous and very absorbent of moisture as peat moss is. It really forms a good base for your soil. You want cow manure or some form of composted manure to add a little bit of actual soil, but more importantly, you've got bacteria in there, and the bacteria are what work in the soil to loosen up nutrients to get them to the roots of your plants. So that's what that accomplishes. Finally, what they call perlite or vermiculite, exploded micro, whatever you use, this provides a bunch of air spaces in the soil to allow water molecules to intermingle with air, because your roots have to breathe just like the top of your plants. And the combination of the three of these in about equal amounts will give you a very nice soil base to start with. But remember, you do need to, once you get your bed established, do a soil test. They have soil kits available all over the place to make sure that your pH is somewhere close to neutral. If it is, great. If it's not, get it adjusted using lime or sulfur to make it either more basic or more alkaline. More alkaline or more acidic to allow your plants to be at a neutral pH. That allows the roots of the plant to do the cation exchange, that is the actual uptake of nutrients. It has to occur in a pretty close to a neutral level in order for that to happen. So we'll go ahead and mix this up real quick. If I sound tired, it's because raised bed building is tiring, and I think the older you get, the more tiring it is. We're going to start with our composted manure. This is, what is it, cow moo or whatever. Looks like good old dirt. Okay, we're going to add an equal amount. I'm just going to tear off a brick of this. And I'm basically going to use my hands for a lot of this. For one thing, it's fun. For another thing, it doesn't tear up the wheelbarrow, and it's kind of easy to do. Now, I've just found out this already has vermiculite embedded in it. I didn't notice that on the package, so I really don't have to add anything else. Just the bags of cow manure, about 4 cubic feet, and about 4 cubic feet of peat moss, and I'll see about where I'm at. Well, we've got that pretty well mixed, and I'm just going to take my wheelbarrow now. And they're great to have around, trust me, for all kinds of yard work. I'm going to dump that in there and start on the next batch. Well, there you have it. About 2 hours later, I've got myself a little 31 by 90 inch raised bed with soil that's custom built and about 6 inches deep. I've got plants that I'm ready to put in here, but first I'm going to let this soil rest a little bit. Then I'm going to water it, see how far it settles. Then if I need to, I'm going to add some more compost or manure to bring it back up to about 6 inches, and then I'll do my planting. In part 3, we're going to discuss a little bit about different planting techniques and how you can get the most out of a small area like this. Until then, have a great day.